Here we are.
We're adopting that here as well, are we?
No. I'm really excited about today's episode. Episode 1 of the Anisha and Sunjay show. Da, 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 da.
It should be more fanfare, but it doesn't feel, because we've done this so many times, it's just us recording another episode. But it is exciting, isn't it? This is a new chapter in our podcasting journey.
Adventure.
Officially doing it together. So yeah, welcome. Why did we start another podcast?
Quite a few reasons. Number 1, Pharmacist Diaries is obviously very career specific. I'm interviewing pharmacists about their career journeys and their stories. But I believe there is a lot of value in sharing more about myself and my journey, my career, my home life, how I manage home versus work, what I'm like as a parent, what I'm like as a wife, what I'm like as a business owner and an entrepreneur. And I wanted to incorporate all of that onto Pharmacist Diaries, because effectively it's the diary of a pharmacist. However, the more we talked about it and the more we engaged in this specific conversation and what that content would look like and how we would create short form content and reels and what the videos would look like, the more we realized that it would be a little bit strange for me to suddenly be showcasing my family or me doing yoga or going to Chamonix for a swim or my commute to work and how I manage my time or my productivity or my stress, or it just felt that they do go hand in hand. But at the same time, when you look at the viewer's perspective or the listener's perspective, people who are very interested in careers, and it has been a very careers heavy specific podcast for 3 years or 3.5 years nearly, it would be very odd to then incorporate a lot of our home life into the channel, because there will be a lot of listeners who may not be interested in my kids having smoothies and taking supplements and doing yoga with me and being silly and having fun. So then we started looking at the idea of segregating both channels where people could follow my home life and our home life, our family life on a different channel, and to leave Pharmacist Diaries very career specific. That was the initial thought process. However, the more we've talked about it over the last few weeks, the more excited we've been about starting our own family channel and what it's like to be Anisha and Sunjay.
Yeah. We just needed a place, didn't we? A home for all of that content, because we've been recording a lot over the last few years. I mean, since Lily was born, 6 years. And we've never really been shy about sharing it, and we're happy to do that. However, it got to a point where, we didn't really have a home for it, and we were doing our episodes together on Pharmacist Diaries, or before that actually on Stay Whole as well. So the Stay Whole podcast, which is the former home of this podcast. It's confusing, but I'll explain that in a moment. And yeah, it just felt like in those conversations that we had on Pharmacist Diaries, and there've been several, and if people haven't listened, you can go back and listen over we've done a few over the last few years, is that we got really deep into our personal lives and what we're up to, and I just felt on reflection, like you said, it didn't really fit with what Pharmacist Diaries was. It was about showcasing the profession of pharmacists, and yes, part of that is showcasing you, but yeah, it didn't work. So I felt like it would be wrong then to start putting even more of that type of content on that channel. So that was the reason to separate it off. And then of course the masterclasses. We've decided that we're going to start teaching what we know, because one of the questions that we both get asked a lot is, oh, is it really difficult to start a podcast? Or, is it really difficult to do videography or whatever it might be, or editing? So we're going to start teaching what we know. We're going to start off with podcasting, because that's something that a lot of people do ask us about. So we've started doing our masterclasses through the Pharmacist Diaries channel, but the masterclasses are about how to start a podcast. Now, we've had the question from several people when we did that first masterclass saying, do I have to be a pharmacist to join your masterclass about starting a podcast because it's on Pharmacist Diaries channel? And of course, the answer to that is no. But there's obviously a confusing message there as well. So that got me thinking more seriously about separating. We've been talking about separating this channel for a long time, or separating Pharmacist Diaries for a long time. And that was what triggered me. When we got that feedback, I was like, right, this definitely needs to be separated. So I just felt a home which was called Sunjay and Anisha, or the Sunjay and Anisha Show, or and I'll talk about the name as well in a moment, would be a much better place for us to just share that knowledge and that journey about how to start a podcast. So we will eventually. Right now, they're still happening on Pharmacist Diaries, which is cool. We only just started the free ones very recently, but when we start doing the actual online course, we'll build it on this platform, which, as I said, is the platform that I started with Stay Whole. And that's the other reason that we wanted to start another podcast, was because, or I wanted to anyway, because I missed it. I missed doing what I did with Stay Whole. I missed reaching out to people that I was genuinely interested in. I would follow them online. I would learn about them. I would, discover new people, and then I would reach out to them, and then they would be kind enough to give me some of their time. And I've just been so fortunate that I've spoken to some amazing people in that time. And some of those people, as you well know from your own experience, are now friends, I hope lifelong friends and really good acquaintances. And some of them are clients, and some of them are, future clients. And there's so much that's happened through me starting a podcast that connection is something that I missed. And especially when I left the coaching world, I didn't have that patient contact anymore. I completely lost that connection. So through doing podcasts is how I connected to people in the first place. It's the reason I started it. And I just felt that if we had one of our own, and again, the beauty of doing our own one is with Stay Whole, it was the brand was about health and well-being, right? It's eat, live, move. It's about eating the right food, living a good life, being healthy, nutrition, exercise, which of course is something I espouse, and it's an industry I've worked in pretty much most of my life. However, I wanted to talk about a lot more than that. I want to talk about relationships. I want to talk about parenting. I want to talk about productivity, entrepreneurship. I want to talk about spirituality, all of these things that we're both very much into and we're both exploring. And Stay Whole just didn't fit that mold either. So that's why we've changed the name. And season 2 of Stay Whole technically is the Sunjay. I said it wrong. The Anisha and Sunjay Show.
I was going to, before you finish talking, I was going to tell you keep saying Sunjay and Anisha, because it must come really naturally for you.
Do I? See, that's
you just want to be, the first one in the name. Why do you want to be the powerhouse?
But what do you say? I'm going to catch you out now.
I probably say the same. I probably do say Sunjay and Anisha.
I think it comes from Sunjay. I think someone calls us Sunjay and Anisha.
Rena.
Someone. I don't know who it is. So someone, and I hear Sunjay and Anisha a lot. Maybe we should just rename it the Sunjay and Anisha Show.
Oh God, not again. No, we're not renaming it.
No. Okay, so the reason it's the Anisha and Sunjay Show is because I like the acronym.
The ass.
The ass. It's a lot better than the other way around. If it was the Sunjay and Anisha Show.
The sa.
The what?
The
Sunjay and Anisha Show.
The sass.
The sass. Oh, the sass is that's not so bad. No, I prefer the ass. It just comes off. It rolls off the tongue. I'm going to call it the ass from now on. That'll make it easier. So the ass is about everything. We can talk about everything. So I put out something on my story. I don't know if I got any responses, but I haven't got my phone with me now. But what do people want to hear? Yeah, what sort of subjects they want to talk about. But we'll have guests as well. So the plan is to have guests. I don't know how I'm going to work that out, but we'll figure that out when we get our first one. Hopefully a 3-way conversation. And this is really important. We're not doing remote. I say that, right? But I don't know. I might change that, because there might be some people that. What do you think?
Let's take it a one step back. The ass. Are we considering ourselves a podcast? YouTubers? What are we?
Why do we need an identity? Why do we need a label?
We don't need a label, but I think it's quite useful to know.
Okay, so the way I look at this is there's the podcast. That's one thing that we do. And I think it's a really crucial thing that we do, because, like I said, it gives us connection, it gives us reach, it gives us a community, right? And that's something that we want to build, and we can talk about this in a moment. We want to build a community of people that want to learn, who want to grow, who think it's difficult. We've just had the conversation about you quitting your job, so you can listen to that episode on Pharmacist Diaries. But in that episode, you talk about, surrounding yourself with like-minded people and being inspired. So we want to find those people, and people who might think it's difficult, and what you've just gone through is difficult, and how do I do that? We want to help show the light, right? So we want to surround ourselves with those people. So the podcast is one part of that, but it's not everything. So another part of that is going to be a YouTube channel. And on that YouTube channel, yes, we will share clips from the podcast. We will share shorts and nuggets and bits of information from the podcast, but we'll also share other things. We will be making YouTube specific videos, which is something we haven't done yet. And we talked about this as well for a long time for Pharmacist Diaries, and we never really did it. So we're going to do that, where it's, whether we're talking, again, it could be about parenting. It could be about Lily making a smoothie. It could be a little vlog about our walk that we have on that day. So we're going to start posting specific content on the YouTube channel. So that's another avenue. And then there's going to be the learning aspect of it as well, right? So there's going to be online courses. So that's something else we're going to be building. So, and then, I don't know, maybe you want to write a book as well. You've been talking about that for a while. So, there's loads of different things that we kind of have thought about. So that's why it's hard to put a label on it, because we can be all of those things. And anyone that tells me I can't, I'm just going to try and continue and say, thank you very much for your motivation, and going to keep going, right? Because I believe that we can. And I believe that the only thing stopping us has been actually us doing it, and our own kind of need for perfectionism. And we've spoken about this before, about getting everything right. And I think this time we were just like, you know what, let's just do it. We're going to just get it out there. We set this room up like this. I've been doing it a lot recently, several times. I've had podcast guests come into the home, which is fantastic. So why not just keep it set up like we just did today, and record our episodes off the back of it as well? And we're going to try and batch produce our episodes and all of those things that we'll come to talk about. So so the podcast is just one side of it. So what are we? We're just I don't know, we're a personal brand. Is that a couple brand? I don't know what
Content creators,
just I mean we had to do it on Instagram, didn't I, when I changed the IG handle from Stay Whole Sunjay to the Anisha and Sunjay show. It asks you what category, you have to label yourself. And I think I put community. That's the one I chose. I'm pretty sure I put community. Or did I put content creator? I have to check that now.
No, you did community.
I think I put community, didn't I? Yeah, because that's really what I want us to be, is if I want to label us, I want it to be a community. That's really what I want. And that's what I felt I was trying to create with Stay Whole when I first started it, was to create that community. So that's, I think, what we want to do with the ass.
I'm excited about sharing our adventures, our family adventures, and what we've been getting up to in the last few years, especially now that we've got 2 minions running around and one who's just started walking. He's a little adventurer. I can't wait to share content about what he's been getting up to because he's such a funny character.
Yeah.
And Lily wants to create her own videos, which is so cute and exciting for her. Like, she's really interested. And when she actually gets on camera, she's really good. She's really good.
Monkey see, monkey do. I put a post out about it the other day, and we should embrace that, right? If she wants to do what we're doing, and she genuinely is interested, and she is, and she's got good things to say, and she wants to share what she knows, then why not? I don't have a problem with that. Again, we can talk about the morals of. In fact, I want to get Lisa on to talk about this, about putting your kids on social media, and we can have that conversation because I know a lot of people listening probably thinking that. But yeah, I want to save that for an episode. We will share that side of things. But I think also you were talking about it in the episode about quitting your job on Pharmacist Diaries, about wanting to create a life which allowed us in this context to, be at home, to be around our kids, to, be able to do the school drop-offs and not worry if one of us has to go out, if I have to go for a video shoot, for example, and, the other person doesn't have to take annual leave or unpaid leave. I mean, that was a situation that happened to us recently where I had a shoot booked, which is a really important, and a very exciting shoot day, a whole day out, 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. I'm usually out of the house on, or 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. I'm usually out of the house on those days. And we had no childcare because I didn't account for the fact that your parents would be away on that particular day. And one of the options you presented me with was you'd have to take unpaid leave. And I was like, what's the point of having 2 parents who are working parents if one of them can't work and you have to take unpaid leave? So anyway, to avoid situations like that, we want to carve out a life where we can do those things and we can cover each other. And like you said, one day I need to go out of the house. Hey, yeah, fine. You're going to babysit and you're going to take care of the kids. And then another day you need to be out of the house. It switches to me. And that scares a lot of people because there's no routine there. And I'll be honest, it scared me. It scares me still. Like someone booked a call and I didn't realize that it wasn't blocked out in my diary that you were away on that day. So I've got Kai and there's a call in the first thing in the morning. So things like that. So we want to create a life where we can have that balance and we can do the things we want to do. We can explore the projects we want to explore. I'm loving the life that I am creating. I have created this role for me, doing videography, recording podcasts, that creative process, editing, and I'm thankful that I've got clients who want to pay me for those services, which is amazing for me to sit here and say that now. And I want to do more of that. I want to go traveling and go on. My dream now is to go on an overseas shoot. I want someone to say, hey, we're going to Paris, or we're going to Florida, or we're going wherever, and go and do that. So I'm hoping, and I'm positive, and I'm confident that this is going to provide us with that platform to do that.
Yeah, and from the episode about I quit my job on Pharmacist Diaries and building this life, I also want to share how we're doing that, because it is going to be a transition for me, having quit my job and then figuring out what time I give to Pharmacist Diaries, what time I give to my university role and for how long, and what time I give to pediatrics. It's a transition phase for me. And then we've got this that we're building. And of course, we've got a course that we are building on how to launch your own podcast. But I'm really excited that once I do finish my job at the end of October, I've got the goal of the month of November to launch this course and get it up and running and advertise to the world and market it out on social media, etc. And I want to be able to go all in with that. And I'm really excited about that. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity where I've got that free headspace to do it. Because one of the problems with being a podcaster and doing Pharmacist Diaries is everything is done in my spare time. Everything. I'm working full time. I'm parenting 2 children. I'm a wife. And then everything that I'm passionate about, I have to do in my spare time. And that's so sad. And I really want to switch that. I really want to transition towards being able to chase that passion and follow my dreams as my full-time job or the main element of my job. And being a pharmacist is still incorporated in my life, but maybe not as much as I normally do. We're tipping the scales on the other end. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really excited about the fact that also with teaching the university students, it's term time. So again, this creates an amazing opportunity as a parent to have the holidays as holiday. Yes, I completely feel a little bit fearful that it's unpaid leave because you're effectively a locum. You're getting paid per hour of what you give. However, I'm not going to receive that time back with my children. And I'm trying to utilize this opportunity to then enjoy things in my life, such as travel. And I've obviously been preparing us to go abroad for the month of December or part of December. And I was getting really excited as well that wherever we go, I could potentially organise some face-to-face podcasts with pharmacists who live there. I mean, what a cool opportunity is that? That I can do international pharmacy podcasts face-to-face, not on a screen. I'm really excited about that. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And it's combining all my passions into one, really. Yeah. And yeah, I think there's a lot that we're going to be able to offer this community. And I think there's a really exciting opportunity for me to use my educational skill and my experience in lecturing university students, but creating it in a digital platform. And we've got 2 different kind of areas of expertise for the podcast course, and they align so well. And when we've done the masterclasses, they've worked really well, haven't they, so far?
They've been fun. I didn't think they would be, to be honest with you, but they have been fun. I think I've been surprised by the feedback and by the level of interest that people have shown. In that, again, this is something that I've talked about before, but sometimes I assume everybody knows how to do certain things that might seem simple to me. But when people ask questions on those masterclasses, I'm like, oh, wow, actually people don't know how to do these things, or they don't understand this and they want to know. I think that's what surprised me. And that's been really interesting, especially now as we're starting to think about that main course, the sort of things we want to include. So yeah, it's been a really interesting experience.
Something as simple as receiving feedback about the masterclass, I'd identified on this occasion that we have provided a lot of content in a very short space of time. So there's a lot of elements of creating a podcast in 1.5 hour session. And for someone who's not super tech savvy, or this is completely out their comfort zone, we might need to consider splitting it into a couple of sessions or creating a mini course. And I raised this idea with a couple of my friends who obviously came on to the masterclass, and I asked for their feedback personally. And they were really excited about all the information that we gave on the podcast idea, the applications that you can use to record, like how to edit the podcast, how to get it published, show notes, etc. But they were really keen to also consider a shorter form content in bite-sized chunks to allow them to take in some of the information because it was a lot in an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea of a masterclass. I appreciate that for sure. And that's why we will have a course. I mean, that's also, that platform gives us a chance to delve into that and create those bite-sized chunks and where the detail can sit. In an hour and a half masterclass, as you said, it's a masterclass, right? You're going to learn everything, and there's going to be a lot of information. I've been to masterclasses, and there's a lot that they throw at you in that time, which is great. But we're doing them regularly, so people can more than welcome to come to more than one. That's absolutely fine. We'd love to build that community, right? That's what we want to do. We want to build that community of people that want to go on that journey, and we want to go on that journey with them. I would love nothing more to have someone, I mean, a lot of them are listeners of Pharmacist Diaries, but have a listener of Pharmacist Diary who starts their own podcast, and we see that podcast grow, and we help them and coach them through that process as well. I'd love nothing more than that. That would be amazing. And again, it goes back to purpose and feeling like you have added something good to the world. If one person has decided to start a podcast and we know how revolutionary and how much that can change your life, then I'm really excited for that one person, because they're gonna get a lot from this. I think podcast, I'm kind of going off topic here. Well, it's something I want to talk about anyway, but it's about, why should people want to start a podcast? Why would someone want to start a podcast? I mean, let's talk about that from our perspective. Let's cover quickly why you started Pharmacist Diaries.
Mine was educational. It was teaching students in university and identifying very quickly that pharmacy students were not aware of all the options that were available to them once they qualified. Their view of pharmacy was very tiny compared to the breadth of sectors that we now have available. And I felt a podcast was a perfect opportunity to share my voice, to educate students about the different career pathways and what skills you need within each pathway in order to succeed. I also wanted to inspire pharmacists as well, that you don't have to stay in one sector. You're not confined to one area of practice. You can build a portfolio as a pharmacist. You can transition from one sector to another, as I've done it before. And you can work in two sectors at the same time, like I've done before and I do now. And you can have it all. I want to encourage students that pharmacy provides you with everything. And we have a lot of students who enter pharmacy because they've not been able to do medicine, and they believe they've failed when they start pharmacy because they've not quite managed to get into the program they initially wanted. But I want to share with the world that pharmacy has everything under the sun to offer you as a professional. And anything that you're interested in, you can find a role or an opportunity that allows you to thrive in that space. And the long form content and the conversations that I have with pharmacists that don't just include their professional life, but also include other hot topics such as mental health, grief, transitioning from different career pathways, family life, time management, prioritization. It really combines multiple skills into one conversation, and you can really learn so much about pharmacy, about careers, about recruitment. There's so many tips that people are giving to support you on your journey, but also you can make connections with people because we're sharing their LinkedIn profiles or their social media profiles through the show notes. So, that comes down to community as well, is that someone might be offering a certain number of roles within their GP practice, for example. They listen to the podcast, they feel inspired by that manager and think, oh yeah, I think I would like to work there. And it gives you a bit of insight into what the job might be like or what the employer's like. And that's also really exciting for people as well. So yeah, from an educational and inspirational point of view, I think Pharmacist Diaries has a lot to offer. And it's been a really enjoyable, creative, innovative process for me personally and professionally. I've networked with so many people and made so many friends that I would highly recommend people starting a podcast because it has so much to offer you as a person. And yeah.
It could be about anything. And this is the thing, right? It's whatever you're interested in, it helps you to connect with those people. And I remember when I was younger and I used to sometimes think, oh no, I've got no friends who are into the same things that I'm into. Right? That I used to often say that. And I thought that when I arrived here back from Dubai, I came back from Dubai and I was here after not living here for so long, and I was like, I changed as a person living out there for a decade and got into the whole health and well-being space and all of that good stuff, and then came back here and I realized that I'm not surrounded by those people anymore. But that was why I started the podcast. So for me, yours was education, mine was connection, mine was to meet those people that I want to be surrounded with, who share that common interest. So my point is, if you're sitting there and you have a passion about a particular topic or a subject and you feel like you don't know any other people, then start a podcast or start listening to podcasts. I mean, that's how it started for me. I started listening to podcasts and then that's why I eventually started one myself. But yeah, start a podcast about a subject. It could be anything, could be gardening, could be, kids parenting, for example, which is a very popular subject for a lot of people. It could be anything, right? But just starting that conversation is gonna open up the world, and you'll start seeing more and more of what you crave. So yeah, for me, it was connection, definitely, and like you said, lots of friendships, lots of opportunities, which I'm very, very thankful and grateful for. So a lot of them people have turned into clients as well, which is amazing. And it's something I listened to actually on another podcast about nurturing relationships. It's important. You're not going out there with a view to, I want to get you on a podcast because I want you to become my client or I want to get something from you. It's genuine. There's got to be an authentic interest in why you are speaking to this person, and that's something I've always tried to live by. I'm not going to just interview this person because they've got 100,000 followers or whatever it might be, right? I do I actually like what they have to say? Am I genuinely interested? And if I am, then let's have a conversation. And I'm hoping other people will like it. I think that's one angle. I think something I've learned and I want to try and do a little bit more on this podcast is listen to the audience, and that's why I put the question out today in my stories. What do people want to hear about? Because I know what I want to talk about and the things that I'm interested in, but I want to know from other people, what are the things that resonate with you and what do you want us to talk about a little bit more? What do you see from the outside that we do, whether it's the health and well-being stuff, whether it's our entrepreneurial journey, which we're going on, which we will be sharing, of course, whether it's our parenting ups and downs. What is it that you want to kind of put the magnifying glass on? And we will, depending on what it is, we will share it.
I have had quite a few questions from pharmacists who are about to get married. So they've reached out to me to say that you're a professional, you're working, and you're a parent of 2 kids. How do you do it? Because I'm finding it really hard as an individual doing my job and managing my time. And when I look at your life through social media and through your podcast, I can see that you're achieving all your goals at the same time as being a parent and a wife. And I want to transition towards having a family, but I just don't know how to manage that time. And that's something that I think that you can share your perspective on, and you can educate people on that transition period.
That's a classic example of what you see on social media doesn't tell the whole story, right? And I think that's important to say. So you don't see the ugly side to that, which may be the sleepless nights, which may be, having to work sometimes when we don't want to, whether it's a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday night or, working till late. So yeah, we can that's something I definitely want to talk about, time management and how we do get everything in. It's hard to say how to prepare for it because, you had that conversation just a couple of hours ago about not thinking having a second child was going to be like, and what the actual reality of that is, and how that's impacted us. So being prepared for the unexpected, I think, is a key one there, isn't it?
And being able to adapt to change and be flexible, which I think is part in my professional life. I've been very good at that. But I'm still learning, because I think I'm really good at it. And then I have a child and realize it's hard. And there have been a lot of ups and downs over the past year. Now we're a family of 4. And I love being a family of 4. And I love Kai and his crazy ways. But he's also a lot more work than I ever expected, and a completely different child to Liliana, which has really kind of thrown a spanner in the works. Like, it's been mind-blowing how different they are in personality and how needy he is in comparison to Lily. And that's been really hard for me, because he's a proper mummy's boy. He has separation anxiety. He's not sleeping through the night. He whines a lot and complains, and, he wants to be close to you physically all the time. And that's very different to Liliana. She was very independent. She was pretty much happy-go-lucky, slept amazingly well, 12 hours a night. And I was so proud of that, because I felt that it was my parenting skill that got her to that point. And now I realize it was a 50-50. It was partly parenting, partly just who she is.
Let me sum this up for people that maybe don't know the history. So what you're saying is that with Lily, it was very regimented. You had only 6 weeks of maternity leave because we were living abroad. We got her into nursery. We got her sleep trained. She just got on with it. And then it labelled you to get on with, you were the career woman. You were the one working. I was obviously doing a lot of the childcare at the time, like I am now. It enabled you just to get on with your life and just carry on working and being a machine, right? And then this time around with Kai, that was you had a year, you had a proper mat leave, right? 12 months, as you get in this country, which you at the time opted to take. And you thought, well, I've got 12 months to get this guy, Kai, get him into shape. And then I'm just going to go back to work. I mean, I've got 12 months. How hard is it going to be? Right? If I had 6 weeks last time and I've got 12 months, it's going to be a doddle. And it's not been a doddle. Is that fair? So
That's
far?
Completely fair assessment.
Okay. Just don't want to put words in your mouth. And the big takeaway here is, because of that, because of him and how he is and how he's made us change the way that we do things and we approach things. You've taken this kind of complete detour. You quit your job, which again, we won't go into that because you've already spoken about that. You quit your job, you're going on this journey. Is that fair? That's helped, that's made you realize?
Yeah, I just think I took on too much without I used my previous experience to identify how much I can tolerate. And when I compare my previous experience of Liliana and working 48 hours a week, night shifts, day shifts, weekends, in a very stressful, intense job in Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi, putting her into nursery pretty much full time, I was really strict about her eating habits. So I spent a lot of weekends bulk cooking food, because we had to send food to nursery every day. And I was adamant that I would prepare her homemade food from the get-go once she started eating solids. And I did all of that. I managed night shifts, pumping on the job. running from my lunch break to deliver her milk if I didn't have enough expressed milk. I would rush from work on my lunch break and deliver the milk to nursery as a top-up if needed, because I was always living within the day. There was no opportunity for me to express enough milk to support her needs, and she was a little milk guzzler, and that was really stressful. How come I managed all of that so well? I managed that really well without meltdowns or crying or emotional stress. And now, having a second child and going through that experience again, what feels a much more soft experience where I've got the luxury of 1 year off. I am in my own home. I even traveled when I was on maternity leave. We were living here. I lived with my parents, right, for the first few weeks, then traveled with her back to Abu Dhabi, helped her to transition to a new country, got her set up in nursery, settled her into routine. And this time I found it so much harder. But you've got the complexity of 2 children, obviously, which I haven't necessarily taken into consideration, that Liliana she was still 5. So she has a lot of needs. The first few weeks she was on summer holidays, so I had both kids at home. You know, you're parenting a newborn and you've got another child at home for 6-7 weeks of the summer holidays. And then supporting her with her transition into year 1 and reading and getting used to real school routine. She had so many activities as well that she was enjoying. So sports, tennis, swimming, rainbows. She started ski lessons this summer. She also has a lot going on, and managing her emotions around another human in our family has been quite hard. So I think I've taken on so much more emotionally, and I haven't really understood how much of an impact that would have on my mental health. Hence why I've come to the point where I do feel quite overwhelmed by everything that I need to do. And the best way for me to align my values with my life is to let go of my job and build from the ground up. That's how I feel. But I'm really excited. I get to share that on here.
Right.
I get to share that journey and show people that life isn't just all sunshine and rainbows on my social media. Life isn't always me being a productive machine. I do have emotions. I do have ups and downs. I do have periods of time where I don't really feel like working or running the podcast because I'm exhausted and sleep deprived. And sharing that is authentic. It's real. It's real life. And I think that is a really important part of the Anisha and Sunjay show.
Do you know what I think?
Go on. Hey guys, before we get into this week's episode, I really want to remind you about the discount code that I have for thenakedpharmacy.com. As my listeners or viewers of the podcast, you'll receive a 20% discount using the code PD20. Both myself, my husband, and my children are using the products and we're absolutely loving them. I really want to advocate for this brand because, number one, it's owned and created by a pharmacist, Kevin Levers. He has over 35 years of experience working in the industry of natural medicines and has created his own company and provided us with so many different products to support our needs. For me personally, I absolutely love their gut health products, the magnesium for my sleep, and Saffron Energy. Because as a mum of 2 very young children, working full time and juggling the day-to-day life that I have, I really need that extra support to keep me energized and going throughout the day. I also wanted to let you know that if you're not sure where to start with your supplement regime, Kevin has a team of multiple pharmacists that you can either contact by phone, email, or on social media to get some support on where to get started. Check out their website, thenakedpharmacy.com. Now let's get back to the episode.
I think Kai is Kai to make you realise that.
Do you think?
100%. I believe that each of our children has been given to us at the time to help us to they talk about sliding doors, right? There's that small little deviances, and having a child is not just a small deviance, it's a major one. And I feel like each time Lily came at a time where we were living abroad, perhaps I feel like her mission was to help us to focus to get back here. I just believe that that's the way it happened, and that's what her purpose was. Not just her purpose. I mean, she's got more than that as a purpose, but at the time. And I feel like Kai's come along at a time where, like you said, you did take on too much. It was overwhelming. Our life was very stressful at the time, even before he came, and he came at a time where, it felt there's never a good time. So, but that's why I feel like he came, and I feel like that's why he's so needy of you and your time and the attachment and all of that things to help you to realize what's more important. And I think that's
an important point. And I had a really rough pregnancy. I feel like my sleep deprivation is not just because a newborn arrived in my life. I had major insomnia for 10 months of that pregnancy, sleeping 1 to 2 hours a night. And then the diabetes and the insulin and my food change, and still continuing to exercise and swim 3 times a week, commute to work, doing 25,000 steps a day, even 8 months pregnant. I mean, I pushed it really hard. I pushed myself to some extreme limits during that time. And I think it takes a long time to recover from that as well, like emotionally. And I didn't really give myself that opportunity, because once he was here, you got to crack on with being a parent. And sometimes you don't necessarily have that headspace to do the work and help yourself move forward. And that's also a really good point.
Yeah, I do. And and there was a lot. I was transitioning careers as well, or had transitioned, and there was that in unknown, that part of the unknown as well. So yeah, but I do feel like he's helped you to realize that, and now we're on a path where we are trying to think about everything, not just putting ourselves first, but also what's best for them, and enable, as you mentioned earlier, about carving out that life where we can be around and enjoy the moments and not have to worry, and go on the sports days and the parents' evenings and all of those different things, and also enjoy ourselves at work as well. I think that's one of the things that I've always tried to listen to, that gut, that intuition. That's what it's telling me about work. I ignored it, and as I've said many times on this, the old podcast, Stay Whole, about my life and my work's journey, and how I just had that noise and that voice telling me that this wasn't right, but I just ignored it. And now I started to listen to it a lot more. And that's why I let go of the coaching. That's why I then tried the self-employed coaching role and I let go of that. And that's now why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want to do things that fulfill me, that bring me joy, bring me, and I truly believe that if you are doing things that are bringing you joy, they're bringing value to other people, and you do them well, just like you have been doing with the podcast, then everything else will fall into place. Right? We're talking about the M word now when it comes to our brand's monetization and money and sponsorships, and it starts to get serious, and it starts to get a bit now. But I'm embracing that. And I'm saying, well, yes, that is something that is an end goal. And because if you don't think about it, if you're just I'll just let it go organically, and people will come and they'll start following me, and if that's the attitude, then I get it. I do get that to a degree, that the universe will kind of work itself out, but there's got to be a bit of intention behind it. There's got to be a little bit of, okay, I'm doing this, it's my time. How can I get the most value out of it? How can I not let it become a chore, which is important as well? And how can I then start to get help? Right, that's important as well. When that's something else we've done with Pharmacist Diaries, is we've got help now. We've got our 2 interns that are helping us out behind the scenes, and that is a big step as well in our journey, so it can give us the time to have this platform and to be able to do this, because otherwise Pharmacist Diaries turns into a full-time job for both of us, and then we're just literally treading water, right? Because all we're doing is getting an episode out every week, and we can't, where are we going to have time to build a course and, you know, build all this other content and do all these other things? So that's another big step that we've made to help us, and we'll talk about that, because that's, now we're starting to talk about managing people, and how do we do that, and how do we motivate them, and how do we get them on board and them aligned? It's a whole different ball game. So this is another part of the journey that I want to share. There's lots going on. I mean, there's so much. So I hope people are listening. I hope that they get some value out of this. I hope that, yeah, we can help people in any way, shape or form, and we'll keep listening, and we'll keep evolving ourselves.
Episode 1. The Start of the Ass.